Hello everybody, this is Frogman and welcome back to Levitated. We have been working our way pretty seriously, I think, through advanced rocketry to getting to the point where we can kind of figure out a replacement for the world that was so terribly destroyed many moons ago. This is kind of what the overworld I'm assuming is going to be looking like, or at least what we're going to be looking for. However, as you guys know, this pack has the weather mod in it, and I'm assuming that if we spent a decent amount of time here, we would have problems with certain things like tornadoes and hurricanes and all that nasty stuff. So it's really not a place to try to come to and enjoy. And I'm assuming, again, considering the fact that we have all the dimensions that come with advanced rocketry, that likely we will find a better overworld than what we could find here, that hopefully we don't have to rebuild. Now, I am going to just pretty much say that we're going to just find a couple of nice worlds to look at, likely with our space station, and then we're probably going to just do a couple of offhand things, and then I think we'll be done with this pack. So we're getting really, and I mean really close. That's why we're here. Before we get too terribly on into today's stuff, I'm not going to do this. This is one of those things that had we thought about it, we'd have already been working on a lot of it. And I did kind of think I might be able to do some of them, but this is not interesting to me this time around. I have no real interest in trying to build this little thing. And those are for those of you that really just have the time to let your game run. I have other games to play. I have other videos to make, and I have other things to do. So we're going to go ahead and try to get some more of this stuff done. More or less what we're looking for is warp after warp. You finally found a familiar place. We're looking for whatever is going to unlock that. Now, I've got some things to show you. We've been busy in between episodes, and I figured I would start here and just remember why I didn't want to rebuild this mess. I've enjoyed a lot of the rebuilding, and I enjoy whatever the scanner mod is. But the automation that goes with the scanner mod is not the easiest thing in the world to do. And as you can see, it's not perfect. Like this tree right here, I think is on the edge of a chunk, or was on the end of a created chunk when it did it. So you're going to have trees that are going to be not quite right because it produced this chunk first and then built that tree, or it built this tree and then built that chunk, or however, whatever it is. The leaves ended up not being able to stay because they were made before the actual log came in. So, all right, let's get out of here before we end up eaten by all the bad, nasty things that are here. Alrighty, so what we did do, and hello, yes, you've managed to be out and about for whatever reason. What I did do in between episodes is we did a bunch of work building and getting I'm not going to say it's a massive space station, but it's going to do what we need to do. And in this box, I have a few things that we're going to build, and in this box is going to be a few things that I kind of want to discuss very quickly. I did go ahead and make 2 of them just in case we need another one. We are going to quantum bridge the applied Energisitics system from this base over to our space station, mainly so that I don't have to deal with those things. I mean, we're going to make the wireless crafting terminal and all that stuff here in just a second, but these are all right. It's just I would rather just be able to, while I'm on a area like that, be able to do a few things. We are going to add a wireless transmission stuff. Matter of fact, we're going to be playing with wireless AE today. That was the whole goal as to what I wanted to do, so we're going to mess with wireless AE today, and we're going to do a couple other things along with possibly warping to our first system. So let's get on with that. Let's do this first. So in order to get a singularity, what you have to do is you have to make a matter condenser. And for those of you that don't really tend to play with this magical part of applied energistics, this is a trash can. It's a magical trash can that you can use to make other different things. So you can destroy units, you can make them into matter balls, you can make them into singularities. Matter balls actually go in the little gun that you can get from applied energistics that you can use to do many different things with. They're actually, it's a weapon, or it's a paint gun, or it's a bunch of other little cool things. So, but what you do in order to get the condense into singularities, you need 256,000 items, and you do that by using a 64K ME storage component. And basically what you do is you cram that many items into this machine, and it uses the storage to be able to then condense that into a singularity. Now, how I did that when the time comes, I'll show you guys. We did that up here. since we have this system over here that is continuously just pulling items out of stuff and producing massive amounts of junk items, I just disconnected this whole thing, stuck that little condenser right there, and let it run for about 10 minutes. And then I had 2 of them. So this is one of the reasons why I kind of like little systems like that, because occasionally you need a lot of something to happen. So I already done screwed up. I don't want your junk. Whatever, who cares? Just get in there. They're all doing reasonably well. We have yet to ever use anything that comes out of this. I mean, we've got 130,000 UU matter, and I still need to fix the wall over here, so get out of my life. Okay, so that's how we got that part. The next part that we need to do with the singularity, and we're going to go ahead and do it with this, is we need to have some ender dust, I believe, if I recall correctly, which means I think all I got to do is grind up one of these. Yeah, we'll put it in that one. Now that should have given us the correct stuff, right? Already had some. Ender IO, that may or may not work. So if you look at the thing that we're going to need in order to make a quantum bridge work, we need a, what is it? It's a Q, quantum. Quantum entangled singularity. To create a quantum entangled singularity, you take an ender dust and a TNT with one of these, and it will make those. So let's see, ender dust. I'm going to hope that ender dust works. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it wants that one. Okay, that's what I thought. Good deal. Ender dust. We'll make sure we use the one for the thing, and then we need a TNT. And even for that matter, we could probably use a tiny TNT. We'll use a tiny TNT, and we'll use a lever. And we'll go over here to the mainland and do the thing that we need to do. So, edge. We haven't been over here in a long time. So, let's see. I'll make a hole so that they don't accidentally get blown up. Hello, game. And of course, I need to do this. And then that. Did we get our parts? Yes, we did. All right. Woohoo. Okay, sorry, had to sneeze. Holy cow. Okay, so we got our quantum entangled singularities, which now we can go ahead and do the work of making things work back and forth between 2 different dimensions. Let's head back over to the base and do the next couple of things. So, dink. I would love it if that noise really wasn't there. That's one of those things that gets annoying, and I guess I could probably go ahead and work it out of the system. But anyhow, in order to be able to make this work, and again, it's kind of one of my favorite things that is part of Applied Energistics, is that the usage of something like this requires you to be in order to get wireless AE from one side of your base to the other, from one world or one dimension to another, you kind of have to have a little bit of fun, and it's kind of a neat thing. Again, part of the reason why I like Applied Energistics over, say, Refined Storage is that this requires you to kind of play a little bit of a puzzle and figure out how to do certain things compared to just, oh, we'll just give you a transmitter and receiver and you pay RF to make it work. We're going to pay power to make it work. Don't get me wrong. It's just that you have to do a kind of a little bitty thing to make it work. So in order to make these guys be able to do anything, we need to make a quantum link chamber and a quantum ring times 2 sets, because we need 2 of these things. So I went ahead and did a few of the crafting things, and we'll talk about this in a second because we're going to need to do those. But there's a couple of things I haven't managed to put into the system yet, one of which is all of the terminals that we need. So we're going to go ahead and put all of the terminal parts in so that we can do this pattern, and we'll go ahead and do this pattern while we're waiting on this, because we also want Wireless Applied Energistics to go do all of this fun stuff. And of course, we're going to need that. So we're going to dump a bunch of these into the system so that we don't have to sit here and stare at stuff. So illuminated panel, ME terminal, crafting terminal, and I'll do that with that one. The wireless receiver we're going to use to make the wireless stuff, so we'll get to that point in a little bit while we wait on some of this stuff to craft. Now, the quantum ring, this guy right here, This is going to require a thing that is going to have NBT data or problems because of the fact that it is a battery. You're going to want to make sure that if you're going to want this thing to auto craft that you make sure you set using as substitutions. Now that may still not function. We may still have to craft that by ourselves. And of course, the fluix pearl, which somehow we have not made at all. I would figure by now we would have, but let's go ahead and have it do some of the fun stuff. So fluix pearls, we need it to make, well, we need it to make a few more than that. I guess I already had a couple more in there. So go ahead and make 4 of those. And the quantum ring, we're going to need 16 of those. Go. Now that should take a minute at a time because we've got to craft a bunch of Cerdius stuff into there and, you know, all that fun things. Those will take a little bit of time. So while we're waiting on that, let's work on the wireless part. Apparently I've already done this. 3 wireless receivers. Beautiful. Awesome. Where did I get those? I would think I was messing around in between episodes and I might have already accidentally made those things. But wireless receiver, not too terribly hard, just fluix pearl and a bunch of quartz fiber and some iron. So we're going to use this to make with one of these and I clicked on it. One of those and then one of these. So dense energy cell, this is where this kind of problem may come in here again. I think we can have it craft one in the process of it making the other ones without stealing from it. I hope. We need an ME terminal, which I'm glad I programmed because I really didn't feel like doing this. And I think, no, I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming. What did it choose? It said illuminated panel. And this says crafting ME terminal logic process. I knew it did that. I knew it. So again, click that button and we'll see if that works this time. Scroll down, and if not, we'll have to craft the panel first and then the thing. So let's see. Terminal. We need to craft a ME terminal. Are you going to work this time? No. So in order to make that work, I'm going to have to do the panel. Craft one. Grab this. Where is it? That one. That one's regular terminal. We're going to put you back in here. Panel. You should have 3. I don't need to use those. Thank you. That should have functioned, but it didn't. Sometimes that just happens. And then we can try this again. So troubleshooting on camera, we always love this. Terminal. Craft. Well, no. Terminal. That one. That everybody should work there. So let's check and see if we have our quantum stuff now. We have 16 of those. Good deal. That worked. And the chamber, which I think we just need to craft, right? Click. Oh, I need a bunch of quartz glass. Shoot. Quartz. Make quartz. I'm assuming I probably used a bunch of quartz glass up to do some of this other stuff, so that's fine. Doesn't take long. Thank you very much. So we need 2 of those so that we have a set. So now we have 2 sets of this. And I guess while we're here, can we do this? Good. I had one of those laying around. I actually need 2 of those. So we need a piece of ME cable, which I should have laying around. 2 of these, please. So one of these is going to go here, and one of these is going to go on our space station. And while we're at it, I would probably need to get a range upgrade as far as those go. Range. Wireless. Is that going to be just part of the fact that I have to use the other things? Now, there is this system, and you guys can use this. This is kind of the AE stuff. It does work just fine. I believe it only works in Dimension. If I recall correctly, these only work in Dimension. So it won't matter for us here. Either way, I don't really care. We're going to do it the fun way. But yeah, this I believe only works in this. Like say, if we wanted to AE from one side to the other, it'd work here fine, but it won't transfer in between. If it does, by all means, please correct me. But if I recall correctly, it only works in this dimension. So can we make that? Again, problem. There is our first wireless terminal. Check that out. So let's go up here. Actually, I don't really need to do this. We're going to go ahead and just make it right into the first thing that we want, which is a crafting terminal. Mainly the reason why you find me never using these things is because this is just a terminal. I hardly ever use them unless they have a crafting terminal. So crafting, spell correctly. Crafting terminal is just another crafting terminal and a Fluix pearl. So we need to put you in here with one of those and a Fluix pearl. Go next, start. Good. That and a pearl. That should give us a wireless crafting terminal. Beautiful. If I take this upstairs, actually, is it still the same old way? I wonder. Does it require the station? So this is the only problem about me trying to remember how to do things. Applied Energistics. I need a thing, don't I? Ooh, I always forget about this stuff. It's one of my favorite things, too. It is network thingy. What is it called? Network security station, right? That thing right there. How much of that do we own? We need an engineering processor and an ME storage component, I believe. So let's get those cranked out. You should be able to make one of those. And a processor. All right, let's see. Does that work now? Cancel. Get me back to my terminal. Just do 16K. Do this. Cool. And then we'll put this up here next to the controller, even though it doesn't necessarily need to be by the controller. So right there, we're actually, no, that won't. That's connecting to that the way that I don't want it to. We'll put you down, and then I should be able to just stick that in there, and that is now connected and hooked to our system. Oh, yeah, it's because I haven't put one on. Now, we got to put one of these down, and I think this is going to live... Ah, shoot. I wasn't even thinking. We'll put you right there, I think, and that ought to work. I know these have distance upgrades. Is it distance? Give me a second. There it is. That's what we want eventually. So for right now, what we're going to do is we're probably going to use the boosting system that comes from the little infinity energy unit thingies. Plus, we also have cards and whatnot for this. Trash cans, stuff, access to all of our cool stuff. We need to make sure this is set that direction. And J-synchronized. Wonderful. All right, nice. We now have access to our applied energistic system pretty much from anywhere. And if I recall, what are these things called? It's been like a million years since I've used these. What are they called? They are called Infinity Booster Cards, and the whole reason why I made this in the first place. So those go in here. And I think it should tell me picked up or in inventory. Yeah, go ahead. It won't really matter. 60,000 units. That's one of the whole main reasons why I built that farm. So we should now have a decent amount in us. And basically that just gives us infinite distance and direction anywhere all over the place. But as long as we're within this distance of what this thing services, it will not consume those cards. So we now have all this stuff. And of course, this is a bauble. I don't usually use it as a bauble, mainly because it takes up a bauble slot. So I think it goes like there. And then it has a... it has a tech. I kind of like it, to be honest with you, kind of like it out in my inventory. So it's just one of those kinds of things. I kind of just like it out in my inventory. So we'll make sure that's set up. Let's go talk about these quantum bridges because we do want to be able to use this. So I think we're going to install the first one in the floor up here. So let's see. Where is our axe? Poor old tired little axe that we've had forever. We're going to put it in the floor right here. And I can finally put that piece of wood in. So quantum bridges are a multi-block structure again. We're just going to put a couple of these parts down and get everything to work. And the link chamber goes in the center, and when it does that, that means it formed. Now, this is going to give us the ability to transfer 32 channels from this controller into that thing into anywhere. So let's get us some dense cable, which apparently I don't have any. Nope, cancel, dense. We need to make a few of those. Give us, I don't know, like that many. I don't really care. We got all the parts to do. All right, 30 dense cables and a bloop. And we're going to just plumb it right there. Now, as you notice, there's nothing going on. But if you know the other thing here, and let me see, where is my wrench? We should be able to see this. Let's click that button there. If you notice the lights around the outside edge, that means it's powered and it works. This is one of the fun parts about this that is required for applied energistics, is that it runs off of AE. It runs off of the AE power that we're currently doing in here. And if I had the little thingy, I could show you guys. I don't think it'll show us how much we've got. In order to be able to make this work, it has to be powered. It has to have one of these in with a mate on another side. So we're going to put that one in here. And then we're going to go to the space station. So it's about time. Let's gather up our stuff. I want to make sure you guys are okay. And we're going to bring this box with us because this box has got a cool couple of things in it that we want. So come here, box, and let's go check out the space station. So again, it's not anything massive. It's not like this. It's not like the last one. It's just a space station. So, welcome in. I did a kind of a very simple four-leaf clover-esque design. Pretty much what I did was I just kind of built one side and then copied the gadget thingy, the whole deal around to the outside edge so that we have 4 little domes to kind of work in, as well as a central landing pad for a rocket that's got a little bit of depth and a little bit of a bottom. I didn't want a lot, didn't want anything, but what I did want is an enclosed structure for us to be able to do a few things with. So one thing I did learn is that the linking device or the fueling stations can be linked out quite a ways, which is really, really, really cool. So that makes it really nice to be able to do something like this. So that means if we need to do any kind of machine work, which I think actually what we're going to do coming into this system this section is where our quantum link is going to live for this side. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll do a little quick walk around real fast and then we'll go. Every one of these has an airlock on them. This side is going to be for our warp controller plus anything that needs to be over here. You guys will notice there are trapdoors in the corners here occasionally, so there's a reason for that. We'll see that in a second. And we're going to start with the first. I got to quit doing that. I can't click the door. The door won't open. So let's start with the first thing. I think you guys can hear it. This is a gravity controller, area gravity controller, and this is how we're producing gravity right now. So if I jump, I don't, kind of float around. This is not necessary as far as things go, and unfortunately it doesn't reach all the way completely to the other side of the structure, but it does at least provide an easier navigational experience for how these go. And a gravity controller kind of not all that impossible to make, other than the fact that it requires a warp core, which a warp core, you're going to have to make 2 of them in order to be able to do anything else. And then the structure itself is not massive. It should still be... Where is it? Gravity controller. Area gravity controller. You have to pay attention to this one, though, because it states something rather important right down there, which is the advanced machine structure blocks, which we didn't have. And those are the purple ones. And the advanced ones are really cheap to make compared to the other ones. Really cheap to make compared to the other ones. So I find it interesting that this recipe really was not heavily modified compared to the regular machine structure. So whatever. Doesn't really matter. I get it. It's cool. We're all fine and dandy here. All this requires is did I manage to... That was interesting. All this requires is power to work and a direction. This is the thing that you have to understand. You don't necessarily have to put it on the floor. You can put it on the ceiling. You can put it on the wall. You can put it anywhere. So because of the fact that we have it facing in this direction, I have the add down. Now, if there's nothing here, if I jump right now, we don't have any gravity. And if I do this, it's going to go up. Bottom active set, radius 32 is maxed out. Okay, bottom active add, and we're good. So you got to be careful with what side you put it on. And you have to know, you have to pay attention to what you're doing. So as far as those go, let's go over to what we're going to probably consider our control room area. And this is where I want my terminal and whatnot to be. So we have our oxygen charger here. And if you kind of hear, if I shut up, you can probably hear a little bit of air escaping. And the reason why we have that is because I've kind of designed this so that as long as we're inside the main general area of the structure, we'll have applied, or I should say, we have air that we can breathe. So we are not wasting the oxygen that is in our tank down here because of the fact that we're pumping oxygen into the system, and I'm using a couple of things. First off is an oxygen vent. Now, an oxygen vent is going to just use oxygen and pump it into a space, and this space is probably just on the edge of how big it could be. Like, I think we probably could get away from it if we went into the far corner, either one of those two. As well as, it's usually you need a couple of those to cover the space that you need to worry about. And if you are actively producing a reasonable amount of oxygen, you can just pump the oxygen into the trace or into the vent and it will make oxygen. Now, what we're doing on both sides here, and it is recommended by the mod, is to use CO2 scrubbers to effectively reduce the amount of oxygen you're using. So I did bring it up here, I did set it up, and I did give it an ender tank so that it can keep full. But technically, this oxygen vent is not using any of the oxygen that's going into it because we're using two CO2 scrubbers with carbon collecting carbon cartridges, whatever it is. CO2 scrubbers are fairly simple, easy to make. They just require a carbon brick, a motor, and a steel fan. The carbon collectors are a little bit more of a royal pain in the butt to make because they require iron sheets, iron plates, and all that kind of stuff. Oxygen vent, again, is pretty simple, easy to do. It's a fairly similar recipe. So it's one of those, if you're producing the oxygen and you have an enclosed structure like this one is, so all of these bottoms, the reason why there's a vent in the bottom or an open hole is so that the oxygen can technically see the rest of the surface area above there, and every one of those rooms count. And I got a chest here full of some leftover stuff that it's another one of those problems. It's this block is not smart enough to know not to let one of these go, so you have to filter out and filter back in as you export and import. Supposedly these last about 24 hours of gameplay, so if I just come down here and realize that it's not functional, or every time I load up the game, all I gotta do is come down here and check, make sure that's fine, and we're good. So we'll jump up here. We have our satellite terminals on this side and a couple of other really cool little things. So we're gonna talk about this, then we're gonna build a couple of stuff. So an orientation controller, these are just kind of fun blocks. These are fun blocks that you just don't have to have, but I decided to put them in. What the orientation controller will do is, you see how the station looks right now? We kind of can just see around us and see how things go. Let's move it. We're now tilting it down one direction or the other. Let's go the other way. Let's do that. Now we're off, and I'm never going to get it back straight again. So it's pretty cool. You can kind of tilt your station. You can do a few things. Say I don't like the direction it's pointed. Well, we grab the Y direction, and now it's going to spin the station around until I get the direction that I want. So as long as you're kind of setting 0, 0 right here, it's not going to move with that. Next thing here is going to be our altitude controller, which this is actually supposed to be about right here. If I want to go lower, I can go lower. If I want to go higher, I can go higher. So that means some of these planets, if you're in the actual weather system or in the actual atmosphere, you're not going to get to see the land masses above them. So it's kind of cool that you can just kind of do that little thing. The other thing here is this is the target gravity controller for the general area that we're at. That gravity controller essentially tells that thing what to do, so we can kind of just adjust with our gravity and how things go. So let's go over and do the next little fun part, which, like I said, I think we're going to put the quantum ring in this room here. So center to center. And like I say, the unfortunacy is I think the gravity ends about right there. So in this room, the gravity's a little wonky. And we can go ahead and get our Terra Shatterer out and put a cable down. And I'm going to go ahead and just use a dense cable for the moment just so that we can see what's going on. And then we're going to put the link in it. And one thing you're going to notice is the link is likely not going to light up. The lights are not on because there's no power over here because it doesn't know where to get power from. However, supposedly, we can fix that issue. Where's my green box? Crap. Give me a second. Gotta go find the green box. All right. Okay. We should be good to go. Now, one thing I will mention about these airlocks is I'm doing this wrong. What we should be doing is you should be walking through 2 of them. Every time we walk through this, it unseals the entire environment, which it shouldn't do, but it is. And that is causing the air system to shut off. So the longer I stand on a pressure plate, the longer the system shuts off air. So we are technically using a little bit of air right now. But anyhow, box, green box, and hopefully we won't need the other thing in the inventory, which is we need to go ahead and grab one of these flux points. And I think I knew you were going to do that. Okay. We need to give you a little bit of power. So let's get us a cable. That's right, it only connect to those. Does this work this way? No? Let's do this way. Let's jumpstart the system. We'll give it an energy acceptor, and we'll do this. There. Now we have stuff going. The lights are on. And because it's linked, now theoretically, because it's now linked to the other side, it will stay on. However, what we're going to do is, we're not going to do that. However, what we're going to do is, because we have power down here, I'm going to go ahead and give it a, oh crap, I'm going to have to move a few things around, aren't we? The internals of this base are not amazing. I'm not, again, trying to make things very great or perfect, but they're going to do what we need to do for the most part. So we'll do that, and then I need to go get some more stuff. But really what I wanted up here was a way of making sure that we don't necessarily waste our batteries. So this thing technically can go right there. Sweet. So this quantum bridge is now going to be doing what we need to do. And if we look here, we'll have access here. Of course, we have infinite stuff and we're using the infinity things. But we did bring, again, so we can test it. Where is it? I've got a crafting terminal here. And we'll go ahead and just, man, I love how quick this thing is. Let's do a little bit of testing really quickly. We'll put this down. We'll put this on it. And I now have this kind of access to the system, which is beautiful. So we'll sort by number, toggle sort direction, doesn't really matter. And JEI synchronized auto, cool. I'm going to go ahead and run that cable over to the other side now that I know it works. And we will continue. Oh, this is where I love the beauty of Ender IO. It's just such a great idea to just put everything into a single space. Yeah, it makes it a little bit untidy at times, but it does do what I need it to do. Let's jump up here. Let's do the thing. Where is our cabling? Cabling up, and I figure we'll do something kind of like that in this window, which means we'll have to build it a nice little pedestal out of factory blocks. Let me see. Do we have any of these at all? Anchor? Might have to make another one. Anchor, give me some. There's a knife in here. I know there is. Thank you. And I don't care what you use. What is this? 10? Yeah, that's fine. And can I do this? No, I can't. Can I? That is the. I wonder if this is actually going to connected texture worth a dang. Probably. Oh, it does. Cool. I think that'll work fine. Then let's get us a couple more of those. So factory blocks times, not that. This one, right? Ooh, I might actually do that on the face of it instead. Give me one of these. And then we're going to do... And where's my wrench? Can I get that without knocking it off? What does that look like when I do that? That looks all right. Cool. And then we'll put this one on top. And then we have our terminal. Now, I know it's one of those, I'm doing this because I'm still stuck on the, I like to have my control where my control is, and I'm still stuck on doing various parts like this. But I like to have a terminal. I just like to have a terminal space, especially if we decide we needed to add more of the other terminals, and I kind of like to have control centers. So, alrighty, that should mean at this point that we're good to go on everything else except for one more thing that I want to do. And that one more thing is going to be, we're going to go ahead and plop down a warp controller. I think, if we have time. Actually, no, I think what we're going to do today, looking at the time, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and build this and move and start exploring in the next episode. I think we've had enough time, and I think this ended up being a little bit longer than I wanted, and I really don't need to be going way too long on some of these episodes because otherwise it takes me forever to get them out. So I'll see you guys in the next one. I hope you enjoyed. We're going to get, like I said, we're getting pretty close. We're having a little bit of fun. There's still plenty to do, and there's still more that we're going to do. I mean, I can kind of show you what's left. So come on, game. Up a level. There's all the little general systems that we have that we can look at, and if I can get it to do what I want it to do without freezing, we have lots of stuff to explore. We're going to look at a lot of this. I mean, I don't think we're going to go down to every single one of them, but I think we're going to have quite a bit of fun just wandering around trying to find a new home. So until next time, guys, thanks for watching. Bye.